Okay, welcome back, Year 10. This is just a little quick lesson because I realised that I hadn't actually sent you this, and this is like 6 very short slides, just an end to the whole medicine through time unit. So as you see, it says it's still 1900 the present day, but it's just a case study. So right at the end of the 20th century, you have to do a case study. If you think about it, in each period of time, you do a case study. So in the medieval times, it was the Black Death. Then we did the plague again, which came back in 1665. In the Renaissance period, they did cholera in the industrial period, which is going to end with lung cancer as the 20th century example. So objective says to understand why lung cancer has become more widespread since the turn of the century, and to understand how science and technology has helped in the diagnosis and treating. Don't know why that says ling, my apologies, I should say lung cancer. So in the diagnosis and treating of lung cancer. So first things first, just a little graph, should be very, very straightforward. Obviously pause the video if you need to analyse the graph properly. But this question in your book, what can we learn from the source about lung cancer in the 20th century? Just give me a couple of bullet points, maybe 2 or 3 bullet points about what this graph is showing you about lung cancer. As much as this says the 20th century, because obviously the graph stops in 2000, we know today that lung cancer is still a big killer. Which is why some laws have changed. If you think about any laws we know of the present day that stops, for want of a better word, the spread of or the dangers attributed to lung cancer. So what can we learn from the source about lung cancer in the 20th century? Just give me 2 or 3 bullet points from this graph. Watch the video clip. The clip will be in the description underneath, so go and click the YouTube clip, watch the clip, and then just complete this table. So in the table you'll see I've put lung cancer case study, and I've put what were the causes of lung cancer, how did people diagnose it, so diagnosis means, well, how did people know that you had lung cancer, and what did they do to treat it. So just watch the clip. I think it's about 3 minutes long, and as you're watching it, complete that table. So draw the table in your book, or if you're doing a Word document, create a table and just give me the examples of how did people get it, what were the causes of it, how did they diagnose it, sorry, and how did they treat it. Now I would have sent you a Word document. Read the Word document and answer these 4 questions. Explain the most common cause of lung cancer. Explain why lung cancer is difficult to treat. How has science and technology helped in the diagnosis of lung cancer? And how is science and technology being used to treat lung cancer? Question 3 and 4 look like they're the same, but they're different. The third one is saying, how does science and technology help diagnose lung cancer? The fourth one is saying, how is science and technology used to treat lung cancer? So look at the Word document I've sent you in the email and read it, and just answer those 4 questions in full sentences, please. This final question. So how did the government intervene and attempt to prevent smoking related deaths? When we think lung cancer today, the majority of you should think, well, smoking. That's why people get lung cancer. It's not the only reason, but it's one of the big reasons. So again, read the rest of the Word document and just answer the question. How did the government intervene and attempt to prevent smoking related deaths? Some of you know. Think about when you go into your local newsagent. Where are the cigarettes? Think about it just now. Okay, don't even read anything. Where are the cigarettes? Then, once you've remembered where cigarettes are, when you then look at cigarette packets, what are on the packets? So we know some of these answers already. So how has the government intervened, and what do they do to try and stop smoking-related deaths? Some of you will be able to write some stuff down straight away, but read the rest of the Word document and that will give you some examples as well. Also think about some of the laws that exist around smoking. You're not old enough yet to go out to like bars and places like that, but some of you might know the laws that exist around smoking in bars and things like that. Think about cars as well. So again, you can probably answer this without reading anything because a lot of it is probably common sense, but do read the Word document and just answer that question. And that's pretty much it. That's it. So doing this particular task shouldn't take you anything longer than what, 20-25 minutes, maybe 30 at a push. And then lastly, this last slide is just summing up everything we've done with the 20th century. So just summing it up onto those 4 different headings. So between 1900 and the year 2000, what changed with the cause of disease? What were the big changes? What do people now know? By the time we get to the end of the 20th century, what has changed with regards to the understanding of the cause of disease? Go back through all the work that we've done since we've been under lockdown. What changed with the cause of disease? What changed in terms of treatments? We've just done some lessons on that. What were the big changes in terms of treatments by the end of the 20th century? And what were the big changes in terms of preventing disease by the end of the 20th century? Even in this context, these quick slides you've just done now, there's some changes there that you can talk about. So what were the big changes in preventing disease in the 20th century? And then lastly, when you've answered those three things or filled them in, what were the big factors that played a role in the 20th century with regards to those things? Remember, the factors always are science and technology, government, religion, individuals, attitudes in society. So where do those factors play a role in all of these changes by the end of the 20th century? And that's that. So that's the final lesson in looking at the thematic part of medicine through time. Next week, after you've done this one, next week, everybody in year 10 will be starting in the same place. And we're going to focus, there's the other part of the medicine paper. So the medicine paper is split in half. And the other part of the medicine paper, you have to do a specific, what we call environment study, which is basically Britain and medicine with regards to Britain in World War One. Okay, but I'll explain more about that next week. That's going to be sent out to the whole of year 10 history students, and we're all going to start there looking at that particular environment study. But this is the end of the main part of the medicine paper. Any questions, email me as usual. Thank you.